Hi there, folks. I want you to go easy on Mark. He's had about 14 interviews today. Very popular guy in Philadelphia. Phoners and radio, TV, and so forth. There's not much of the man left, apparently, this evening. But I just wanted to set it up, and I think Stefan actually stole a little bit of my thunder already. But Mark's latest gem is, as you know, called "Food of a Younger Land." Now, younger land depends. What does younger land mean? Depends on how far you want to go back. There are anthropologists who think that the human diet went straight to hell about 7,000 years ago, when humans stopped foraging, stopped hunter-gathering, and had a diet of the minerals and vitamins and amino acids that were almost perfectly in tune with the seasons, and went to a lower grade of eating called agriculture, with its deficient grains and so forth. Or you could go to a younger land back to the late 19th century in Philadelphia, where they were already fishing out the oysters and the shad and the catfish. There used to be catfish dinners here, or catfish and waffle dinners all over town. And even the sturgeon fishery on upper Delaware Bay, which in the 1880s actually produced the world's mightiest share of caviar, which I don't think most folks know. Mark, I'm sure, knows. Or how about 1902? That's when the automat debuted, assembly line eating for an industrializing city. You could almost hear the fast food movement revving up in the background. It was not long after that, after the First World War and before the Second, before the national highway system, chain restaurants, and frozen foods, that Mark Kurlansky's younger land held sway. And the real genius of this book, which I absolutely find a treat, is that he lets the voices of that moment tell about it and witness it firsthand. So you get rants about the lost art of mashing potatoes properly, about the incessant fakery of the New York literary tea. And we could talk about some of this. Tales from Western lamb fries, which is a rather euphemistic term for what was going on, and tussles in Kentucky over how to make mint juleps, and reports from a magical land far beyond the reach of Jim Crow that was called Diddy Wadiddy. They were collected by penniless poets and aspiring novelists, Eudora Welty, Saul Bellow, and others that we can talk about among them, and that most pitiful species on the planet, out-of-work newspapermen, hired by the Depression-era Federal Writers Project. Kurlansky's own works, The Big Oyster, Salt, and many others, and his iconic landmark book are history at its finest. The last one, Cod, chronicling how a singular fish fed the spirit of discovery and liberty, and in the cane fields of the Indies, by contrast, a brutal slave economy. This latest book, though, is something else. It's a rough draft of history, curiously light, I thought, on lamentations about the Depression for the time that these stories were collected, and rich with wit. He might give us a little sampling of some of the New York luncheonette jargon, and an alternately affectionate and unsparing essay called A Short History of the American Diet by the novelist Nelson Algren. That might be a good place to start because it's where the masterful Mark Kurlansky started. But let's welcome him one more time to the National Constitution Center. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into this project, I think through the rabbit hole that was Nelson Algren's papers.
Yes. There were 5 regions that the Federal Writers Project divided up into, and each region was supposed to have a central essay, and the person assigned to do the central essay for the Midwest was Nelson Algren. And these were, 120-page essays. I only give excerpts of them.
Remind the folks here, some of the younger folks, of some of his works, what he was known for.
Walk on the Wild Side. And, he was the first recipient of a National Book Award. And he tended to write about sort of the seedy side of life. Wonderful writer, very original. And a copy of this essay, there was a copy of this essay in the archives, but there was also a copy of this essay in his papers. When he died, University of Iowa ended up with these papers, and they published the Algren essay as a book, which they called America Eats. It was published in, I think, 1993. And that's when I first realized that there was such a thing. Of course, actually, there wasn't, that there was supposed to be. And then I thought, well, WPA, this is how government works. When they don't know what to do with something, they dump it in the basement of the Library of Congress. So I called the Library of Congress and I said, do you have papers on a Federal Writers Project called America Eats? And they said, yeah, we got boxes of them. So I went and I looked at them, and it was kind of a wonderful experience looking through these boxes, because it was like opening a time capsule of 1940. They were all on onion skin. Remember onion skin? This thin paper.
I even remember typewriters.
Yeah, well, these
were all
carbon copies. Yeah. Remember carbon copies? Yeah, these were all typed carbon copies on onion skin, and a lot of them, a lot of these manuscripts, probably I was the first person to read, because they never got to the editing process in this thing.
And I want you to stop right there for a second, because just to give these folks a taste of some of the just pure jewels that are in this collection that Mark has compiled. I just Xeroxed one little passage from Nelson Algren's essay, and if you would be kind enough to read it, this is about the white settlers' first encounters with the native Indians, broadly speaking, in the plains, in the midwestern part of the United States. So in the first sentence, the people he's talking about are the white settlers. So there's just a few graphs here, and just listen to this language. At least I was moved by it.
Though in all means of developing grain and providing against the future, he was more thoughtful than the Indian. In the killing of wild game, he was prodigal. Before the homesteaders had come, the great clouds of wild pigeons were gone, the buffalo were going, and the wilderness streams were fished dry. In killing, he surpassed any savage, for he took to it imaginatively, as he might go dancing, for the anticipated pleasure and the relating of it after the slaughter was done, till the plains were littered with buffalo carcasses, touched only by the fingers of the wind. He desolated the Indian lands, then went on to destroy the food of his own sons, making square dance songs all the while. Oh, the hawk shot the buzzard, and the buzzard shot the crow, and will rally round the canebrake to shoot the buffalo. It was not until the advent of the homesteaders, with all the caution that domestication brings, that some pause was put to the destruction. By that time, the Indian was eating government rations for tins, and by the time of the war between the states, the white had modified the Indian's natural diet in more ways than one.